Shashwat, this has been very fascinating. Particularly, I guess the point you're making about HR transformation is all about business transformation. So why don't you carry on? But I think it'll be great if you can also provide a little bit of a illustration of how things are changing, particularly in terms of the business view of HR, right? I mean, what it was and what it's not. I mean, what it was and what it is now.
Okay, so and let me answer it now, and then I will get on to Sanjay. I can do a briefly something on item 4. I know that that will be of experience to you, interest to you. I can look at briefly on 5, which is the operating model and the role, and then I will get into governance, which is how we are seeing it happen. But to your point on why we actually have converged to it, that's because this is connecting to what we see as practitioners. So, Sanjay, on average, and that's our thumb rule, when you look at a Fortune 1000 company, you are looking at today between 15 plus transformation projects happening. So, any Fortune 1000 company you walk into, you will have finance transformation, you may have supply chain, procurement, you may have a reorg project happening, and so on. So if you combine all those business transformations and strategic projects, you will land up at a number which certainly will be in double digits. And now as you actually unpeel all those projects, and fundamentally success of those projects is not around technology or anything. It's about culture change. It's about enabling a mindset of new way of working. It's about changing the job, the accountability. And then finally, it's changing the behavior of the people who will be staffed in those roles. If you look at it, all these are core demand from HR. If these 4 or 5 things do not work, all those business transformation projects will fail. So that's where the interesting switch which has happened is over last, I will say 18 months or so, the increased demand on HR transformation has been triggered by smart business leaders because they are seeing their transformations either getting bottlenecked because of HR, or some of them who have gone through this cycle before, they are saying out of the gate, the first thing I need to do is transformation of HR, and then I will do the rest. So, and I will not name clients, but I have a client here who have a strategy of acquiring 3 equal size entities, identified everything ready. They have delayed it, Sanjay, because they are saying, I need to have my HR transformation done, everything in house in order, then I am ready to pull the trigger on that. Similar things are happening with organizations who are driving global growth and so on. Now with coronavirus and the whole COVID situation changes around that, we are seeing this demand not go away. In many cases, CEOs are saying, reality is this is needed. The thing which is happening is the whole question around budgets, the question around outcomes. So the patience on outcomes have gone away. The demand is to have these outcomes even earlier if possible than the original plan. And there is also a constant demand, can we start doing something now itself? So that's the change which I am seeing. Any comments, Sanjay?
No, totally echo. Why don't you carry on? This is quite fascinating. And I think this is, I mean, from a corporate standpoint, this is something which we realize on an everyday basis. But I guess when it comes to the actions, in terms of taking some of those decisions to change according to what you just said, that is where some organizations at time lag. And I guess that's what, is, as you pointed out, is the difference between organizations which are outliers in terms of which are moving ahead and certain organizations which still not got the maximum value out of, the whole HR transformation.
Yeah. So Sanjay, I will move on to the piece around the whole service delivery piece and how it needs to balance out. So there has been some change, Sanjay, here. What has happened is over study cycles, compliance has come back again, and it's not a surprise to us. And employee experience has gained, and it's the most important one. And operational excellence has gone way down from where it used to be 3 cycles back. Now, if you look at it, it's a very interesting contradiction to be managed. Think of employee experience and compliance being the two top drivers. To be fair, compliance is not going away till platforms mature in each organization. So till you are confident that your compliance is taken care of, it's not going to go away, because today any compliance failure on HR is actually a business risk and it's a brand risk. And hence compliance will be quite up there till it's solved for. And employee experience obviously is very important, because at a core, it takes the noise out, it frees up bandwidth of HR, it enables adoption, and that's the most critical part. When adoption happens, your data quality improves, and with improved quality of data, your decisions become better. So that's the real value of enabling employee experience. Now we have seen in organizations who get it right, Sanjay, they manage this well. So compliance at some point needs to become hidden. So your digital strategy is paying you off well when you have actually taken compliance behind the platform. And to employees, they actually have an experience which is all about empowerment. And it's not to say that you are not enabling compliance. Compliance is enabled very judiciously. Boundaries are defined for empowerment. And then within those boundaries, empowerment appears as really being flexible. So that's really the hallmark of a truly good digital transformation in HR. The interesting piece around mature archetypes of organization is mature archetypes have similar cuts coming in. But interesting swing is you see, and some of these are very large organizations, you are seeing HR efficiency and cost coming up top. So these are the organizations, Sanjay, where you will also see robotics, some of the new cutting edge tools coming in. So essentially what they are saying, now that they have got things stable, they are moving to the next level of operational efficiencies from a service delivery model perspective. This does not mean that they are not investing back in HR. Many of these same organizations will be creating efficiencies in their operations and investing back in new roles in HR, roles like organization planning and analytics, roles around M&A, roles around special projects and initiatives. So that's how you are seeing the pattern evolve and change here. I will briefly touch upon how we see roles evolving in HR. So the biggest piece for us, Sanjay, is it's less about the roles, because look at roles in many ways are like bricks. So while roles are important, the thing which really changes the impact is what binds them together. So think of ways of working and collaboration in HR as the motor, which really makes everything work. And then that's the challenge. How do you get HR to really collaborate? And one of the big things we have realized is the need to have clarity about the customers, so that HR role holders do not compete for the same customer segment. It's pretty common between HR BPs and COEs to compete for the attention of business and so on. And that's the first ask. So whatever, I don't say one structure is good versus other, but whatever structure happens, critical to that is clarity around roles and boundaries, so that you do not compete for the customer and enable collaboration across role holders. So that's first insight from us. The second insight from us on this was the whole piece around 3-pillar model of HR. So clearly, in reality, there is nothing like 3-pillar model of HR. You can call it whichever way, but in reality, there are 4 roles in HR. Field HR and generalist role is there for real. And that number has slowly creeped up, so it's not going away. Now, not recognizing that and making them as the lower order of business partners does not help. It actually pulls down the effectiveness of your business partners, because in our thinking, business partners have to be business performance consultants, and the role of business partner should stop at the level at which your strategy differentiation has stopped. So if there is no differentiation in business strategy at certain level below, you should not have a role of HR business partner. And if you look at the other way to look at field HR is, this role will kind of disappear as the whole service delivery gets automated and everything is taken care of. And they are the last last mile for your fulfillment. Even that is a wrong view. Because now if you think of it, if you are competing in future on your culture, you want to drive innovation, you want to drive customer centricity and so on, you need to really become the custodian and trustees of employees in your organization. So how do you build that connect and drive that employment bond? You need this role of someone to play the role of employment relationship, elevate it to values, create that employment bond. That's where we are seeing gradually this role evolve into, and it will be interesting how this role changes. Final insights from me on Sanjay on this is too much of bandwidth is getting into partner vendor management. So clearly, HR is not smart about how they are procuring and using services, from recruitment to training to other providers, benefits providers, and more complex the firm, more global the firm. I think these points are broken, and hence you are seeing so much bandwidth going there. It's also an indication that HR is being suboptimal in getting the value out of those partners. Because typically, when you consolidate, you will also be able to extract more value out of it. So, these were the really insights from us on this. I will not get into this construct, Sanjay. You are very familiar with it. This is an old construct from our side. I will want to take you into the governance piece, which we talked about. And here, Sanjay, I just want to highlight one data, because the thing was, if all this is true, where do you start making the change? And that's where the whole insight was: clearly defined HR governance model within HR and with business. Is that how quickly you can establish a consistent way of all your HR BPs sitting with their business leader, looking at their strategy, saying what outcome was important to us, looking at data to say how they are doing, identifying problems, and in fact discussing potential solutions, and then going back and solving it with HR and going back to do this conversation again next month. If you really look at this, this is really the thing which will not only build appetite for analytics, force you to take right corrective actions, drive change around it, and will change the whole way of working in HR. And with all clients, when we are working, my first rule, and maybe the most important rule, is this switch should happen day one, not at the end of your HR transformation. If you look at my old talk, Sanjay, with you 3-4 years back, we used to actually think that this is a post transition phase. When you are switched to the new model, that's when this should happen. Now we are clear in our belief this is about way of working, has nothing to do with role, and should happen as early as possible. Because if this does not happen, you do everything else, still you may not get value out of the transformation. So this was really the insight I was very keen to share with you. And final point really, Sanjay, was the clients who succeed are the ones where you will see huge ambition in their aspirations in HR. Typically, HR is conservative in ambition, and there is a need for way more humility in execution. So, how do you create that whole agility around willingness to learn, soak it in, and continuously adjust? Because any journey cannot be kind of locked in day one, and that's why this is essential. So that's it from my side, Sanjay.
I'm sure Yasmin has comments, but I can just only say, Shashwat, by far one of the most real and very insightful, kind of work and views. But I still like to underscore the word real. So thank you so much for all the great work you've done on this.
Thanks, Sanjay.
Yes, absolutely agree with you, Sanjay. It's a very, very, very well researched, very in-depth study, and Shashwat and team have done a great job at that. And I think, yes, adaptability is key as ways of working for HR are changing. What will take them ahead would be a quality like adaptability. And I'm sure there's a lot more that people who are watching this episode will take away from